Welcome back, everybody, to the post-episode issues. I'm Phil, the Issues Guy, here today to talk about 24, Season 9, Episode number 4, I guess it would be, or hours of 2 to 3 p.m. The 24, Live Another Day. We're back. Jack's back. Last night's episode was probably my favorite of the season, if we're counting the first one as 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And this one was clearly my favorite of the season. It felt even more like 24. Jack was up against a wall, dealing with the stuff. Chloe had to bail him out and a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on. This was a fun episode. We had fingers chopping off from Stark fingers flying. It was an amazing episode of 24, and I can't wait to talk about it. But if you haven't been here before, this is the post-episode issues, post-episode recaps. I'm Phil, the Issues Guy from issuesprogram.com. And if this is your first time visiting us, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Also, if you are inspired to, comment away, and also hit that favorite button. That helps our videos get discovered more, and it means a lot to us. Tickles us inside. And today we're going to be talking about 24, Live Another Day, and I'm here with my co-host and the person I'm forcing to watch a little bit of 24 against his will. But I think he might be starting to like it a little bit, maybe a tiny bit.
It's growing on me. It's
growing on Joe a little bit. We got Joe Dirty Locks. How's it going, Joe?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. So
early for me, but
yeah. He's up. Yeah, I got Joe up. Joe's a creature of the night. So am I. I'm a late night person, but I've been conditioned lately to wake up early because the people that live in the same establishment as me wake up really early. So I'm used to like falling asleep at 2 in the morning and waking up at 6. But I got work today, so we need to get through this crazy episode of 24. And right now, so I got Joe out of bed. I dragged him out of bed, shoved some coffee in his arm into the IV, and we're gonna talk about some beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep. I hear that music. I hear that beep, beep, beep. I start getting excited. It means Jack is back. And I have to say, a show like Game of Thrones, for instance, or Breaking Bad, may trigger senses in my mind and in my heart, and in some cases my heart beating, going crazy when some crazy action happens. I won't spoil anything in case you don't watch Game of Thrones. But when some amazing stuff happens, it really gets my blood flowing. But for the most part, action serves plot. In 24, plot serves action. When action's happening, when Jack is going, when Jack's screaming, when Jack's lecturing you,
it's all about Jack.
It's all about Jack. We were talking a little bit about this before the show. Every scene to me that Kiefer Sutherland's in is enhanced. It's that much better. Everybody else, when we're dealing with just CIA stuff or I guess I like the bad guy stuff too, or just random people in the White House even, or the White House storyline with Audrey and the president, which I kind of like, but still,
the plotting and scheming in the side scenes is not as good as any of the action scenes with Jack Bauer at all. Period.
Jack Bauer's
with the exception of, like you said, with the exception of the bad guy scenes.
The bad guy scenes are really good. We have really good bad guys this year.
Right.
I'm not saying that means any of the other scenes are shit. The show, especially this year, every scene is serving every other scene pretty well. And I think this is some of the best 24 we've had since maybe season 4 or 5 of 24. This is like
I'd say that's the case with the exception of Benjamin Bratt scenes.
Benjamin Bratt sucks.
Oh my God.
We're going to get to that in a second, but Benjamin Bratt better be a rat, because he is the biggest dumbass on the planet. His character and the way that the actor's playing the character is, I just don't buy it. And I've seen Benjamin Bratt do a lot better than this, and I'm not with him in this role.
Not at all. Not at all.
I think they could have cast better for him. I think they cast a quote-unquote pretty face in that part, and it's not quite working out. I think they could have. I think even the guy that they cast as the WikiLeaks guy, Chloe's guy, would have been better in that position, like a sort of more British guy, that has a little bit of a disdain for Jack Bauer. This guy, it just comes across like he's stupid. That he's not really, that he's stupid, he's emotional, or he has something up with him.
Well, there's a particular scene in this episode that we'll get to that was just really, it was awful in my opinion.
It was awful.
I couldn't even believe Benjamin Bratt saying the words. He said them with like a smirk behind his face.
That's what leads me to believe he must be a rat. Him and the White House chief of staff there, I'm blanking on his name right away, Bordeaux. Both of them have the same disease. One of them is a rat, and one of them's stupid. I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah, but it could be either one.
It could be either one. Yeah, they're playing it like either one could be a rat and either one could be stupid. And I'm really not sure. I get the feeling Benjamin Bratt's stupid and Bordeaux's the rat and Mark Bordeaux's the rat. If I had a guess, if you brought me to Vegas and I had to put money on who I thought was the rat and who I thought was stupid, I'd say Bordeaux was the rat, just because he has such his comebacks to the president and to Audrey's stuff about Jack Bauer and about the whole thing.
No, I'm going to go the opposite way.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to go the opposite way, and I'm going to say, just because what would make it easiest to make blonde chick, this awesome agent, not see it, that her husband was selling secrets, that her section boss was in on it, making her not see it.
I also heard a rumor that I want to share from someone named Josh Wigler about 24 that had an interesting speculation about this season with the rats and everything like that. Similar to what you were saying, that Benjamin Bratt is the rat, but going a step further, that Kate's husband wasn't really a rat, that Benjamin Bratt set it all up to make him look like a rat.
Exactly. That's why she never saw it.
Yeah, that we're gonna find out, but exactly, that's why she didn't see it, because it was a setup for somewhere, and that we're gonna find out by the end of the season.
And there's some things you can just never come back from.
And he's gonna end up going crazy or something like that. So it's interesting to see where, and I think this is where we get into the fun of 24. We know that someone's a rat, we know some bad stuff's gonna happen, but it's the excitement of seeing how it's gonna all play out and speculation of how it's gonna play out. The one thing I did love about last night's episode, we'll get into it though more when we get to that point, is this villain, Catelyn Stark, unlike some other villains in the past, really isn't pulling any punches. They're not messing around with the villain story. They're not messing around with, will the villains get the bad tool, or will they, or won't they? At the end of the third episode, the villains have the tool to cause the mega damage, and that's it. There's no messing around. And by the end of this episode, some of the stuff that was building up with that storyline, that in some shows, or even in with the hour thing, that sometimes 24 would have last way too long than it has to be dealt with, gets dealt with very quickly in this.
Well, that's the great thing about the accelerated 12-hour season that they're using instead of a 24-hour period a day, where they get to show Jack Bauer going to the bathroom. I know they never did, but
they showed him eating a couple of times.
Well, yeah, so we instead of that, we have a much more accelerated storyline. We have to get right to it. It's only 12 hours. 3 of those hours are already gone. Now 4 of those hours are already gone. So there's only 8 hours left. You have to have that tool in the bad guy's hand right away to keep the excitement level up, to keep the action level up.
I know you have
doing a great job in that respect. Absolutely.
I know you haven't watched a lot of other 24. Could you turn me down just a tad? I know you haven't watched that much other 24, but do you like the setup of this 12 episodes so far? Do you like the pacing? Is it something you're enjoying, or having watched? I know you haven't watched that much, but do you feel like 24 being called 24 misses the 24 episode format? Do you think if they bring 24 back again, they should stick to this 12-hour format?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I like it, and I think
I agree with you.
They hammered the point home with 8 24-hour seasons. It's all right that they go to 12-hour seasons in my mind and still call it 24, because it's still based upon the 24-hour clock that we have in real time.
And it's interesting how they're separating it, too. They're not separating it. It's not going to be, I guess at some point in time in the season, time's going to pass. Like a few hours are going to pass. Like Jack Bauer's going to get to sleep. It's not going to be like each episode is 2 hours. Each episode is still just an hour. I believe that at some point in the season, there's just going to be some hours missing. So it's going to be...
I don't think I guess, but that's not really needed. Like, if it's 9 in the morning when this all... What time was it when it started?
It's 11 a.m., I believe it was.
11 a.m.? That means it ends at 11 p.m. Or what? They're going to end it at 7 a.m. the next day?
No, you're missing what I'm saying. It's going to end at 24 hours later. They're going to make it be a 24-hour cycle, but just over 12 episodes.
I don't like that.
You would rather it just be a 12-hour episode?
I would just rather it be 12 hours straight.
Yeah.
This is the last 12 hours of Jack Bauer's life. Tick, tick.
You're treading on where I thought they should have gone with the 24 movie. My ideal setting for the 24 movie, if they had done it, would be a 2 hour and 40 minute clock, or and it's this. There's 2 days, or there's 2 hours and 40 minutes left in Jack Bauer's life, and it's the 2-hour clock ticking down, and that's the 24 movie. So I tend to more agree with you, but I think from what I've read, how they're setting it up is that it's going to be going from 11 to 11. Just somewhere in the line, we're going to be getting hours taken out where it's when Jack Bauer is going to be sleeping or something like that. We're actually going to get to have Jack sleep this time. So
well, I don't like that. I don't think there's a need for it unless he's like been locked in a room, like he's gotten caught by what's her name. Unless she throws him in a room for 6 hours, then I guess that's okay.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out and to see how they mess with the structure. And I guess that's where I was going, that if they're going to mess with the structure like this, you might as well just do 24 episodes. If you're going to cut it back down to 12, just do 12. Because then it starts getting really confusing, and it gets into this, that we get into this discussion like, oh, wait a minute, is it 12 or is it 8? Wait a minute, that doesn't quite even out. It gets a little extra confusing than it has to be, especially with a show like 24, which I understand that the initial hook was the whole beep, beep, beep clock in the corner. But ultimately, the show is just about Jack Bauer now. I don't even think you need it. I mean, this goes to the same thing. Would you watch a show of 20? Would you watch a Jack Bauer show that isn't 24? Would you watch a Jack Bauer movie? It goes to what we were saying last week, Jack Bauer versus John McClane type stuff. I think the character of Jack Bauer has had so many seasons of lead up and so much build up that he is an entity unto himself that's bigger than 24. I think Jack Bauer is an action. We talked about this last week. I think Jack Bauer is an action hero. And
so what are we going to turn Jack Bauer into MacGyver?
I think so. I think he turn him into MacGyver. I mean, he's worse than MacGyver now.
Yes, but
he's Rambo mixed with the professor from Gilligan's Island. I mean, he can do anything. This Jack Bauer. He's got some serious talent. I broke Joe with that one. So let's get into this episode, otherwise we'll just be talking about Jack forever. Now, the episode starts off, and Jack's on his way into the embassy, leaving us off where we were last time with Kate and Ritter on his shoulder. This was right after Jack shot some random people in the legs to cause a riot, which I thought was a great Jack Bauer move.
Yeah, those last week they looked like those bullets were straight deep, right in the middle of thighs.
Yeah, those people aren't walking again. That person lost their job as a foot model. There's no hope.
Hit the femoral artery, and those people were dead. I thought that was very strange Jack Bauer move right there.
Yeah, he
didn't have to shoot the people to make the point. All he had to do was fire the gun.
In the air, I agree, and I think it's interesting what President Heller says to him later in the episode, and we'll get to it, where he's like, "You could have hurt those people," and he's like, "I couldn't hurt them because I shot the gun, and but no one."
Not that he hurt them. He said, "I only grazed them." He says, "How do you know?" Because I shot them.
Because I shot them, and it's okay. Okay, Doc, you're not Emilio Estevez. You're not Billy the Kid, Doc.
Did you know that guy was on Coumadin or not? Is he bleeding out even with the small fucking bullet wound?
And that's the thing, like, as much as we've learned about Jack Bauer in the past and how much of a superhero, he's never been the greatest shot in the world to the point where he can call his shot like that. I mean, you're firing into a crowd. There's some accidents can happen, Jack Bauer. I don't blame the president for being like, come on, Jack. And this leads me to believe that as far as Jack being the same Jack, I think as far off as Bordeaux might be in some cases, I think he's not completely irrationally off kilter in thinking that maybe the last 4 years have really changed Jack, and Jack isn't quite the same infallible super agent that he was in the past. And that he's a murderer trying to kill politicians like the Russian president. Or whatever. I mean, you can see why they maybe think that. I mean, ultimately with the Russian president thing, he did that because he thought the Russian government was trying to kill him. But and correct me if I'm wrong too. Bordeaux wasn't in any of the previous seasons, and he is the national security advisor. He's the chief of staff. Or the secretary of state or whatever the hell he is. He's the chief of staff. Chief of staff. So he's gotta, this isn't, I haven't seen him advise anything wrong to the president with the exception of maybe not telling them about Jack Bauer in the first place. I think maybe... and we'll get into the president scene as we go through her. So Jack calls Chloe, and we get our line of Jack saying that Kate is good. She's so good. If we need more verification that she's the female Jack Bauer, that Jack was cloned at birth and gave birth to Kate here. This was the final verification, and Bauer gets in because he gets the key card, and he does the Bauer chokehold to some random security guard soldier and takes his security pass, and again doesn't kill him, just chokes him out. And I'd say if you're a random foot soldier guy and you get the chokehold by Jack Bauer, you're doing good. I mean, you should win a prize. I mean, that extra's probably so happy he got to have Kiefer Sutherland's arms around him in that situation.
Well, it depends on which side foot soldier you're on. If you're on the government foot soldier side, he doesn't kill you. If you're on Russian drug dealer hiding out terrorists in your back room side foot soldier, you get shot and killed and stabbed in the face and things like that. So
I'd say Jack Bauer's gun has some magic power on it, or Jack Bauer's power has some magic power on it so far. Wow, there's a lot of alliteration. That has some will not shoot good guys power on it right now, because every time
the trigger won't squeeze when it's pointed at a good guy. Unfortunately, he's always pulling the trigger. It just won't fire at good guys.
Yeah, he's got some magic powers going on there. So at this point, we also cut over to Chloe, and she calls out Yates is his name again. I'm blanking on his name. Or is
Yates is the bad guy that got killed by Chicky.
Yeah, his name's Adrian Cross. Chloe calls Cross out on messing with Jack's plan and causing this whole big mess, and she starts giving us a little school lesson on drones. For anybody that doesn't understand drone technology, we get the drone class for the
remote-controlled bomb-dropping airplanes.
Exactly. And this guy goes, "I want no part of any of this. I just want Jack Bauer to go away. Leave me alone." And he walks over, and then we finally get a line from Belichick. Bill Belichick's younger brother, Jack's bodyguard, who apparently is Jack's friend and was probably really offended when Jack walked in there and said he has no friends. He's not just a hired gun. Jack saved his life, and he wants to know why Chloe's going to fight for Jack. And Chloe's like, "Well, he's my friend. He'd do the same for me." Or she basically says he's my friend. And Belichick says, "Well, he's my friend too. He saved my life too." And we get some lines out of Belichick, and I was really impressed with that. I didn't think we would get.
People like you, Jack. You're a good guy.
You have friends, Jack. They take care of you. But what I meant was, I wasn't sure if we were going to get a line from this guy all season. I thought he might just be like,
the mute in the corner.
Yeah, like Michael Corleone.
That would have been fantastic. I would have been fine with that. If this guy never opened his mouth, it was just always there doing what Jack said, that would have been a much better way to go. Like the Chinese guy in Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 12, or the guy in Godfather 2 that's just walking around with Michael Corleone all the time that just doesn't say anything. It's like, and I thought at the end he was going to die or something. But no, this guy is actually Jack Bauer's friend. Jack saved his life somehow in the last 4 years, and God knows what Jack's been up to on all this time, and he's there to support Chloe. He didn't grab Cross by the throat and go, "Listen, motherfucker, do something." Well, why'd you screw over Jack? He doesn't seem to have Jack's same temper, so he's not really that much of a rabid dog. He just seems to be on Jack's side. So after commercial break, we go to after this point, Chloe calls her on Jack, and we get a feeling that everybody else working in this organization is on Chloe's side, not so much on Cross's side. They all seem to look to Chloe, and Joe said this last week, and I think it's more so that they look to her, and I said last week that maybe they look at Cross and her as mother and father, but I think it's beyond that. They just look to Chloe. They all look to Chloe. And
it's because they're all a little creeped out by Adrian Cross too, I'm sure.
Yeah, they saw
something pretty creepy about this guy.
Yeah, they saw the crow. They're freaked out by him. And they don't like his voice. It's weird. And it also seems like Chloe's starting to come back. You see a couple times in this episode where getting out what she needed to say to Jack Bauer in the car last week about her husband and her son really helped kind of get her through the problems. This isn't real life. It's 24, where everyone can get over post-traumatic stress syndrome in 20 minutes. And it seems like Chloe's starting to come out of it a little bit. And we're starting to get Chloe telling people off, doing their Chloe thing, being snooty to people a little bit more and a little less. Maybe she'll comb that shit out. Yeah, maybe she'll comb that shit out and get rid of that girl with the dragon tattoo thing going on. I don't know. Sorry, I know everyone's saying it, but like it has to be said. Did they watch that movie and they were like, you know what, Chloe needs a new look. What's you know what I really like? I like that movie. Let's make her look like this. So we go to Kate and Ritter after our commercial break, after our intro, looking for Bauer, and they meet up with the Marine guy, the head of the Marines, and they say we need to get to Tanner, our pilot that got hijacked. We need to get to him before Bauer does. A team of soldiers and Marines are all after Jack now, as he's on his way to go see Tanner and find out what really happened. So Jack enters the room, and he's faking being security, but he quickly tells the guys to come with him, and they're like, no, I gotta check your story. And he Vulcan neck pinches one of the guys and knocks him out. And then he talks to Tanner, talks to our Jedi Knight, who explains to him the story, and he's like, listen, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know if I trust you. And Jack's like, listen, it doesn't matter if you trust me. I trust you. No one believes in your story, buddy. Why don't you trust me? Tell me what you know. And he's like he's really nice to him. He finds out that he needs the data card to kind of prove that his innocence, and he explains to him that someone wants to use this technology, that they use that as a test to show off that they could hijack the technology, and someone wants to use this to do terrorist attacks around London to prove the irresponsibility of the United States. And this guy is like, oh my God, okay, Jack Bauer, you're the only guy that believed me. This all makes sense now. Master Yoda told me this would happen one day. And Master Luke Skywalker told me this would happen one day. And he gives Jack Bauer the keycard thing, and Jack runs out of this. And onto the captain of the Marines. Jack gets the keys as the Marine come after him, and he says thanks. Thanks, you'll be fine to the Jedi guy. Which, how does he really know this guy will be fine? I feel like Jack tells people he's using what they want to hear. Like when he's nice to the people later on, he kisses their ass a little bit.
Yeah.
So the room is clear, and the Marines come in, and they see that Bauer was there. They ask the soldier what did Bauer take, and he says he just took the key card. And they start to try to lock down the building, and Chloe gets on the phone and is like, Jack, they're locking down the building. You're in trouble. You can't get out. This one exit that I thought you had, can't get out. This key card's not working anymore. What you got to do is there's no
go get to the secure room. That's your only chance.
You need to get to the secure room, and Jack gets the idea of uploading this to the secure server so everybody can find out this information. If he's going to jail, at least this information will get out there to the president. So after that, we go to our commercial break, and this is where we go to our bad guy sighting of our first bad guy sighting. They've got the device, and it's almost working. Less than an hour. Less than an hour, and this will work. And they've got control. So we go to the daughter and the husband, and they are having pillow talk about what they're going to do. And she is telling her husband, listen, I know you really don't want to do this, but just do one more thing. Just do this one thing. And we find out what the husband's use is. We were asking a lot what the husband was.
Now let's remember, too, that Caitlin Stark. Oh, God, excuse me. Caitlin Stark's got the camera in his room listening to all their pillow talk.
Right. So if you forgot, Caitlin Stark is listening to every single word that these people are saying. And just so you know, we know who they are: Margo, El Harazi, and I forget what her daughter's name is. So we do know this is not Caitlin Stark, but I'm sorry, it's way easier.
It's universe bleed through, people. That's
sorry,
all.
guys. Yeah. So back to like when we were doing The Walking Dead and calling
Governor Joe Hale, Mayor Joe Hale.
We're going to be doing this. We're going to talk about a lot of television shows over the time. So things are going to mix, characters are going to interact, and we're going to refer to characters as their more important character. And and this is Caitlin Stark, God damn it. So Caitlin Stark is watching all of this stuff, which
makes you wonder, did she watch them have sex before the pillow talk?
Oh yeah, she watched this all. She couldn't believe what she said. She was hoping that I think she was watching it all to see if the daughter would kill him. But we come to find out that they can't just kill this guy. He isn't just the daughter's husband hanging out. They need him to pilot the drones, which confused me a little bit because I thought drones were automatic. I thought that was the whole thing with drones, that you don't need pilots to fly them. But
well, yeah, you still need someone to operate the. I mean, I guess you can program in a flight path, but you'd still want a guy behind the controls just in case.
so wouldn't the computer guy hacker, the younger son, be able to do this too since he's hacking the system? Why do they really need her husband to do? I don't know. Okay, whatever. It seemed
Maybe because he's not a pilot or something.
Right, but like, okay, so I guess you probably need to go into like a fake simulation pilot setup to pilot the drones from a secure location, kind of like Project X with the monkeys.
Yeah, not quite like a simulator, but pretty close. You got a joystick, you got computer monitors.
Oh, okay, so it's Flight Simulator 3, yeah, 3, Kosovo
like
or something.
So
So,
you have like weapon systems that you have to know. Maybe this guy's like a trained. I don't know what this guy is. They haven't really explained it. They just need him to pilot them.
him to pilot it. And he could have left a week ago, and he really stayed around just to wait for his wife to get back. And
Which is just
stupid.
Smart guy.
Stupid. He knows, and it becomes very clear that he knows who the mother is. He knows who Margo is. He understands what kind of woman she is, what she's capable of.
Obviously, he does not understand that one bit.
You're absolutely right, but that's the thing. He seems to add lip service to the fact that he understands it. And when it really comes down to it, he's being really stupid.
I mean, if he did understand it, he wouldn't have that hidden bottle of alcohol that the chick exclaims about. My mother would kill you if she knew you were drinking.
No, and he wouldn't be saying this stuff this loud. He wouldn't be hanging out. He would have left and then got contacted her through, like, separately outside of that building. Left there, contacted Sansa, and been like, listen, honey, come to the Vale. I want to talk to you. No spoilers for this episode in case someone hasn't seen it. But come on, Sansa, come down here.
Right?
And come look at this door. And no, he's an idiot and he stays there. And you get a picture at the end of this whole scene of Margo's daughter. What's her name again? Besides Sansa, her name is. I'm sorry, this is Dynamite Radio as I'm trying to figure out Margo and Simone. Thank you, Simone. And so yeah, Simone is obviously knows that it is over. She just gets this look on her face. I don't know if she knows what's to come, but she knows they're fucked. At that point,
the guy gives her an ultimatum. He says, "Come with me, or I'm leaving. You got to make a choice, me or your mother." And she says to him, "I choose you." And you get the feeling she wants to, but she knows that she can't.
Yeah, you don't.
She knows that's not really an option. Her mother's a freaking terrorist.
Yeah, you don't tell the terrorists that you don't want to be part of their terrorist plan. You leave, and then that's just one of those like bad guy things that happens a lot. Ned Stark did this. You don't tell the bad guy. Her husband, she should have learned Margo learned the lesson from the mistakes her husband Ned Stark made. Because Ned Stark, when he had something on Cersei, he came right up to the bad guy and said, "Listen, I know X, Y, and Z about your kids." You don't go up to the bad guys and tell them that you don't want to be part of their bad guy.
Do you think Margo Stark is sitting there saying, "I always wanted to play that scene from Cersei's point of view"?
I think it's funny later when she says my husband would be hugely disappointed. I
was thinking the same.
I think Ned Stark would definitely be hugely disappointed in this whole situation. So after commercial break, we get to the scene I think that Joe was talking about earlier. That was probably one of my more annoying scenes of the episode. We get to Navarro talking to Kate. And Kate's telling him that Bauer's at the embassy. He wanted the key code to prove X, Y, and Z. He knows that him and Tanner aren't working together. That Jack was there to kind of prove a conspiracy about Heller, and we really need to touch base with the Marines, with Bauer and the president, and figure out this whole situation. She kind of just tells it to Navarro real straight what needs to be done. Which Navarro's reaction, Oh, this wasn't the scene I was talking about. It just goes, keep me posted of the whole situation as Bauer's trying to evade CIA and Marine guys.
Yep, he's still making his way to the secure locker room.
This wasn't the scene I was talking about. It was a little after this. And CIA and the Marines are tracking him.
He tells, go talk to the Marine and find out what the Marine what he wanted from the Marine. Isn't that what?
Yeah, exact. Talk to the Marine. Oh, absurd. We do have a listener right now. We have a listener that just texted me that says, it was great when Kat referred to her dead husband as if my husband was still alive. Best episode, best season of so far of 24. Best episode and season of 24 so far. Thank you, Thank you, the dude, for watching us right now and appreciating our 24 cast. And yes, it was amazing to hear Catelyn Stark say, my husband. I think every Game of Thrones fan in the world was shaking right there at that point, going, she's talking about Ned Stark! She's talking about Ned!
Yep.
So at this point, Bauer evades some Marines and sneaks in and takes some hostages, and he goes to the USB to get this hooked up online to start uploading this to Chloe's server to get this information out there. And he gets on the phone with Chloe and he asks if the Marines are wearing body armor. Now this got me a little confused at first because I was like, does he want to know because he wants to shoot them? Like my initial thought was Bauer's gonna lay waste.
No, he wanted to know to make sure. Like Bauer is in his magic gun. He doesn't kill good people.
Yep.
He only kills bad Russian drug dealers who are hiding terrorists in their back room.
Exactly. So he has the hostage open one of the doors and he shoots a couple of the Marines to kind of stall them as Adrian Cross comes over to try to help the transmission go further. And it seems like there's something undersaid here between him and Chloe where Chloe's like, you can do more here. Why aren't you helping out more? Help out more to get Jack Bauer. And he's like, here you go. It's working as fast as it can. Do we think Cross was really trying to kind of rub his feet in the sand to help Bauer? Could he have done more?
I think he wants Bauer dead. I think he's got the same kind of, Jack Bauer. My woman wants Jack Bauer. The security advisor guy, the president's guy, has with his wife there.
Just a feeling of why do all these people... It's like if the cool kid moves out of town and then he suddenly come back and your best friend doesn't want to hang out with you anymore because you just want to hang out with the cool kid or something like that. Because you become best friends with Hank at summer camp and then you go back to high school and cool George with the blonde hair is there and he'll only hang out with cool George.
And it's bringing a whole lot of unwanted attention to his little organization now that Jack Bauer's in and out of their building, their names or their organization's name is on the president's lips. That's not a good thing. That's
absolutely true.
Like pass out government information. You don't want to be on the name of the president's name on your lip. Blah blah blah.
And we find out their name later. I wrote it down somewhere, but we're just gonna call them WikiLeaks. It works. But they did have a name like the Second Sons or something. It was something like that. But wasn't it something like that? It was something like the Second Sons. So we come back from our commercial break and we have our split screen 24 action going on.
Hold on. So at that point is that when he helps out and the program doesn't load onto the USB drive because it's encrypted and it stops. So Adrian gives Jack Bauer or Chloe the ability to unencrypt on his end, and it's taking forever. It's going to take 40 minutes to download properly. It's basically going to take the rest of the episode, and I'm thinking to myself, what did he really give her? This is a secured room at the embassy with all sorts of secret information, and this is the WikiLeaks guy. There's got to be something else in that program that...
I kind of agree with you, Joe, in the sense, too, that I don't think Bordeaux is completely off base when he starts talking about Bauer working with this group, and this group has their own agenda. And we talked about this the last couple of weeks that I think Cross must have some other agenda that, especially in this moment, he's like, if I'm going to help Bauer out, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get something for myself out of this deal too. I need to get something.
No reason to think that Yates wasn't involved with Adrian. That not just that he was in this room, but Adrian is far more involved in that whole thing than we know.
Steve says the group is called Clear One or something, so it's like pimple fighting cream. they're half terrorist group, half computer terrorist group, half acne cleaning cream. But you're right, it's something like that. It's called like the Clear Troop or something. Troop Beverly Hills. They're run by Shelley Long in a tight skirt or something like that. So here we go to our mother and our daughter evil here as she's struggling to tell her mom about the husband's betrayal.
Well, she didn't even want to tell her. She wasn't going to tell her. Catelyn knew. Catelyn, you know that Catelyn was watching, and she goes straight after the information and pulls it out of her daughter.
I kind of think the daughter would have told her eventually. I think
No, I think the daughter really did want to leave with her husband. I think she wanted to draw that line. She was going to choose her husband. I really kind of feel that way. But I don't think she knows that she's being surveilled as well. I don't think she knows there's a camera in that.
I get that feeling as well. I don't think anybody could perform correctly in the sexual endeavor if they think that their mother's watching them on closed circuit camera. Even the crazy Stark girls. I mean, they have some problems, but I don't think they're this crazy. I don't think they're that weird. So she's trying to find the right words to tell the mother something, and she says, "It's Navid. Tell me. He can't do it. He can't pilot the drone. I said yes, I would leave with him, but I said that just so we could figure out what to do. Please don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him." And Catelyn Stark has Margo has a really funny line here. She's like, "Well, do you think a stern talking to will do?" And she's like, "No." She's awesome. I love the way Catelyn's playing this character. She's playing it like a Stark, but she's just playing like a.
So do you think that they both went in the room? Do you think the daughter knew that she was going to lose a finger when they walked in that room?
No, I don't think so. I think I don't know what she thought there. I have a feeling she maybe just thought her husband was about to be tortured. I really think that's probably what she thought. Well, anyway,
I'm not sure about that. I knew immediately, and I'm sure as you did too. And you got to figure, we're just TV watchers. These are actual terrorists.
Right.
Like, how did she not know?
But you got to think that if she knew, she would be brighter than this and maybe try to escape. I guess I just don't think that she seemed. I'm going by the look in her face. She seemed pretty shocked when the finger came off her hand. I don't think she thought it was going to happen like that. I think maybe she probably thought that Margo was going to threaten him there, was going to be like, give him the stern talking to, kind of like what she joked about it, because she said, do you think a stern talking to will work? And the response was, no, I love him. And Margo says that's very lucky that that's the case. No one else would get away with this. If my husband were alive, he would be completely disgusted right now, and we need him to pilot the drones. To me, I guess that seems that I think maybe, and this is just my speculation, that Margo set her up in there, like made her feel like it was just going to be a talk, like she was going to have a conversation with him and try to be like, listen, buddy, you don't want to die.
I'm not sure about that. Not after do whatever it takes speeches from the last couple of episodes when they're, I mean, I know they're only talking about sex in those speeches, but still, it's do whatever and her husband has been killed by these people.
Maybe she thought she was going to cut off one of his fingers. But do you think, okay, and that goes to the second part. Do you think Catelyn went into the room planning to cut off her finger, or do you think what Navid said back to her when Navid's like, you can't do anything to me? She's like, okay, I guess.
No, she knew that. She knows that because you couldn't do anything to her. That's what she knows. She knows you couldn't kill me or cut off my fingers, and I'm not going to stop with trying to get these bombers and kill everybody. You couldn't do anything to her. You couldn't even kill her daughter to stop her.
I guess my question is, was cutting off your daughter's fingers Plan B? Was Plan A?
No, that was Plan A. That was Plan A.
Plan A. Like I'm thinking maybe it was Plan B, that she went in there thinking that maybe just her as the force of nature would be like, the guy would be like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll do it. You're right.
Plan A.
At that point, he didn't know that Margo knew, so it's like, wait a minute. I know you've been going into my piggy bank, young man.
As soon as they all walked in, it was Margo, 2 guards, and the daughter. The guy thought to himself, oh, shit, she told.
But the guy thought probably, I'm fucked here. He probably thought she's killing me here, or she's torturing me here to get what I want.
Yeah, and I think he kind of thought that, but if that were either one of us in that situation, you don't think you're the one that's getting tortured, do you? I mean, I guess you want to hold out hope that this woman isn't going to torture her own daughter to get you to do something, but pretty much, I'm going to say she's willing to kill tens of thousands of people in London or wherever, or
No,
all over the world. She's going to kill her daughter to get what she wants. She's going to kill me to get what she wants. She's going to torture everybody. So there's no reason not to just turn and run and jump out the freaking window.
Our third man team of Steve the Dude right now, he says he votes with you. He says it was Plan A. That she went into the room planning to cut the finger off. So
Dude, you are right.
So I'll contest to you guys there. So we go after this to Jack and Chloe in Cross, and this is where Chloe's getting back to Chloe. She's like, "Come on, Adrian. Do you think we can make this go quicker? Come on. We need to save Jack."
Why won't you do this for Jack? Jack needs you.
It's like, how many times can Chloe say the word Jack in a 5-minute time? And that's what it turns into. Listen, Jack needs you. Jack needs everybody. What you don't understand is Jack's trying to save the world. Jack. It's just like, okay, hipster. Okay, hipster, whatever. So this is where it's going to take 23 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes left to get the encryption code to work. And again, I go with Joe. I was thinking the same thing, that I think Cross set up this encryption code to do something else, too.
A worm, something. There's got to be more than just an encryption thing in this. I would imagine if you're Cross and you only have one, and you're this WikiLeaks guy, and you know that breaking into systems you can get caught at any moment, or these kind of things, and you only have one shot to download specific programs or this and that, you put as much in that program as you can so you can get it all done at once.
I agree. And I skipped over another scene. We get to the end part of the Parliament with the President scene, and the President's giving a speech about loss and trying to find a way to be heard. And what basically comes from this is that the President kicked ass. He took everything that happened last week and
silenced the House. The
House. And they listened to him. And as he's finishing up his speech, Mark Bordeaux gets a little call, and it's from Navarro about the Bauer situation. He tells him that you wanted me to keep you in line.
This is the scene.
You wanted me to keep this a secret, and I can't keep it a secret because the Marines are in on this. And
because he's taking hostages.
He's taking hostages. We're in problems. It's going to be out. And Bordeaux's like, tell me everything you need to know. I need to talk to the President before you talk to the President. And he kind of lectures him, almost like a daddy, like being like, you're a bad CIA man. Bad CIA man.
We'll talk before we talk about how disappointed I am in you. You need to tell me this.
Yeah, exactly. I'll talk to you when your mother gets home, young man. And we got our two, like, it's like the dumb leads the dumb with these two. These two are just such dumbass.
It actually is very disappointing. I know that there are tools in every spot, in every position, and usually the higher up a manager is, the more of a tool they become. But still, you'd like to have the faith that the people that are running the country and that are running the CIA and section chiefs and all this are actually intelligent, well-thought people.
Oh, they're dumbasses here. These two
on TV, they certainly are.
These two guys are dumbasses. Exactly. In 24 world, these guys are dumbasses, or they're working completely to their agenda and it's blinding them. Right. So ultimately, he needs the heads up. He needs to find out all the information so he can talk to the President before the Marines brief him, before the military briefs him. So this is where we go to Jack, Chloe, and Cross, and this is what we were just basically talking about. Jack gets they say it's going to take 30 minutes, so Jack calls the Marine captain to negotiate. The guy's trying to negotiate him, give him the best Samuel Jackson, Kevin Spacey negotiator thing, and Jack says, listen, shut up. If you come in here, I kill the hostages. No doubt, that's it. You come in, I kill the hostages. And
that's how the hostages feel.
Watch out, I'm killing the hostages. So we go outside to Kate and Ritter talking to the soldier after this about...
He kind of already used one of the hostages as a human shield when he was like, open up the door when I tell you, and then when I tell you, close the door again.
That was a little rude by him. I mean, he's been polite for the most part to these hostages, but he really did use one of them as a human shield when he opened that door. He's like, are there any soldiers out? No one shoot. We got a hostage right here.
And then he starts shooting at the soldiers. And usually when soldiers get shot at, they shoot back. So there's this innocent person kind of in the way and two others in the background of this room.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. Jack's
Yeah.
out of control here, and so we go to Ritter and Kate talking to our soldier guy about basically what everything Bauer talked to him about, and we get the feeling out of all of this that Kate believes everything Jack's saying. She's buying into that this soldier isn't really guilty, and that Jack Bauer was set up, and she needs to get to the bottom of it.
Well,
And
no, she hasn't. She hasn't heard that part yet. I don't think.
no, she hasn't heard it over the phone yet. But after this whole scene, she starts saying, "There, I need to talk to Bauer and see what's going on because this stuff's starting to match up. This
Right, right, because
starts
she's got the soldier. They talked to the soldier already, and the soldier told them what Jack Bauer had asked.
and then
And
she starts connecting the dots. Ritter's like, wow, this Kate is hot. You can just see he's starting to get into her. He's just like his asshole meter's gone down major. This guy Ritter.
oh god,
He's pussy whipped now.
I don't like this guy at all. I gotta say, like, he goes from being this complete dink, which is like, maybe he's hitting the girl he likes in kindergarten or whatever, pulling the girl's hair because he kind of is digging on her, and now it's to the point where she's doing all this semi-hinky stuff that he's probably learned at CIA too, because remember, they all learned from Jack Bauer's old cases and stuff. So, but she's leading him along to do all these semi messed up things, chasing down Jack Bauer, and he's just following her. For someone that starts out 2 hours earlier, not wanting to do anything with her because she's a screw-up who didn't know that her husband was selling secrets to the Chinese, it's kind of a big flip for at this point, that he's just going to follow him around, or follow her around.
Yeah, it's unless you get the feeling, again, it's a Jack Bauer thing, that she just has this aura about her that exhumes, I know what the hell's going on, follow me. And it connects to...
This is what I think is going on here. She is very Jack Bowery, and she is the setup for the future episodes of 24, future seasons, not Jack Bauer. They're going to make her the one that goes on. This is going to become her show, spin-off, boom.
I hear why you say that, but like they've tried to do that 7 or 8 other times with other characters, and it always ends up, like, to me, what it says is she's dead by the end of the season. Because or loses a hand or something bad's going to happen to her by the end of the season, because that's usually what happens to the new Jack Bauer person. It was Freddie Prinze Jr. one year. It was this guy Chase another year. It was this Agent Walker in the final season of 24, which is another chick that was a lot like Jack Bauer, and they all didn't have good ends. One ended up marrying Kim Bauer, so that's an even more horrible end. But like they all had bad ends. Steve would like to add that it's funny that we refer to former episodes as last week's when it was actually just an hour in the episode time. You're right. That's what's kind of weird about 24, because I'm saying last week or a couple weeks ago. But in the nature of the show, it's only a couple of hours. So it sets up a weird parallel of the way you're referring to it. Oh, last week. But no, I mean last hour. You're absolutely right. So we go to the president finishing the speech, and he gives a good speech. He looks like he's really happy with himself. This is like Iowa all over again. He really won them over.
No dementia sighting during the speech.
Dementia sighting. We might get a dementia sighting in a little bit here, because the president definitely makes some weird choices coming up here in a second. But we'll get into that. So Audrey says you did perfect. As Bordeaux goes, guys, I need to talk to you privately, as the music starts kicking in slowly. He tells them that there's a hostage situation at the embassy. Shh. Jack Bauer! Ah, Jack Bauer! Audrey, the look on Audrey's face is like she just dripped. She was like, Jack Bauer? Oh, Jack Bauer.
I know, right? She immediately, her affect completely changed.
Yeah. She pulls out the divorce papers that she's had in her back pocket the whole time. She's like,
see why this guy was worried. You can see why he was worried, right?
Yeah, no shit. It's not that he's worried about what the bad things he does to Jack Bauer, or that Jack Bauer does to her. He's worried about the good things Jack Bauer is going to do. Because ultimately, Jack Bauer is the love of Audrey's life. It's been established. She loves him. She supports him. She believes in him. She went out looking for him. The last thing she remembered, to find him and tell him that she loves him. This is a big deal to her. And the fact that she finds out quickly that this guy's known for hours and hasn't told them yet. The president doesn't seem to give a shit about this, because the president's just like, what the hell's Jack doing? What the hell is Jack doing? Jack
What's
is waiting.
Jack's at it again, huh?
What is that crazy Jack Bauer up to again?
No, but she immediately asks him, "How long have you known he was been here for?"
Yeah,
Immediately.
she is pissed, and he kind of tells the whole situation, tells him the whole situation about Jack's taking prisoners. He went to go see Tanner. He thinks that Jack's involved in this whole thing, and yada yada yada. And the president and Audrey are like, "What?" And again, as Joe was saying, Audrey is like, "You knew about Jack Bauer and you didn't tell me." She is pissed off. Speaking of, so we leave this happy couple and we go to another happy couple right after this. Navid thinks things are going good. He's packing up all his stuff, waiting for his wife to show back up, waiting for Simone to get there so they can get the hell out of Dodge City here. But no, Simone doesn't just show up. The whole gang shows up. The whole Stark crew. And the Tullys come, and Cart Starks with the big swords. They're all coming in for fun. and oh, we're gonna get even what's his name that cut off Jamie's hands is in there. And he's like, "Hey guys, I'm here to say hi too." And he's like, "I told you this isn't gonna be easy. My dog." Catlin steps up. "This isn't going to be easy. You knew this wasn't going to be easy. My daughter loves you, and backing out isn't an option. I'll give you the honor of one chance to go back on your word, go back on what you were just saying to my daughter, and pilot those drones. One chance." And this guy goes on a rant. He's like, "There will be no killing innocent people. There's no killing President Heller. He didn't really do anything. You're crazy. I'm the only one in this room that will tell you how crazy you are. Everybody else." What is this guy? This guy is so dumb. You don't say this to Dr. Claw when you're sitting in Dr. Claw's office. Couldn't you have write a nice, sensible letter and mailed it after you were safe?
Like, if you want to kill yourself, if you want them to kill you, just kill yourself. That's the only way that you're not going to do this. What the hell did you think you were into in the first place? What did you think everything was built up to this point? You were like, "Yeah, I'll kill tens of thousands of people," all the way up until the moment before, and then you've watched every step of the way this organization take control and kill people to get what they want. Now you're like, "I can't do it."
Whoops, I can't do it. And then and beyond that, okay, A, what is Simone that good in bed that she's convinced you to get into all this? Number two, give me a freaking break. Like Joe was just saying, why would you come this far in all this knowing what was going on? Why would you even go this far? And number three, are you that stupid to say this shit to the friggin' bad guy that's in front of you? Do you think you're that indispensable? And this is what leads me to believe that a little different than you and Steve, and I know I'm wrong here, but this is, I guess, what triggered the thought that Margo, it seems like she went in there with the hope to discuss things and get this guy to be like, "Okay, I'm just feeling a little bit whatever." Otherwise,
no. She said it. She said it right when she walked in. And this is the way you have to be to a certain point. When you know you're going to do something, you don't talk about it back and forth. You don't allow the person that you're trying to get to do what you want them to do to think that they can talk their way out of it.
Yep.
Because you will end up in an endless loop of them trying to talk their way out of it. So you say, "I'm going to give you one chance," like you do with a child, "and I'm going to count to 3, and when I get to 3, I'm going to do what I've told you I'm going to do. I'm going to drag you to your room and lock the door and chain you to the radiator," or whatever it is.
But that's not the plan that she has. He goes, "You can never hurt me. You can hurt me. You can torture me. You can sit me down and make me listen to Michael Bolton music all night long. You can do whatever it is you're going to do to me, but I will not pilot those drones." And she goes, "You know what? You're
Hold
right."
on. I just want to make it clear to everybody out there, I don't have any children chained to my radiator.
Well, he says him. Well, we'll take his word. I don't see a radiator in the shot. Okay, I think it's convenient that you have the camera placed in an interesting location, and I haven't heard. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. I think it's that's hubris. He doesn't think that he thinks he's that indispensable. I agree with you, Steve. He thinks he is indispensable, and I guess from what happens, he is, because she can't torture him and she can't kill him. She does.
Well, he's not indispensable, right? He is indispensable. Right.
He is indispensable. Right. Yeah, he is, but he's not. But he doesn't realize, or Navid doesn't realize that. You know who isn't indispensable? The daughter. She's already done her job. She's not needed, and even if she is needed, do you know what's not needed? The pinky finger. So they take her up, they put her hand down, hold her down, and this is what I love about 24, and Joe is right. The minute you see this, you know this isn't just going to be a threat. You know that this isn't
Doesn't the mother say, like, doesn't she? He says, no, don't do it, right? I'll do what you want. Don't cut the finger off.
No. At first, eventually he says that after the first finger comes off.
No, I thought he tried to say, like, don't do it before the first finger came off.
No. He just goes, I have to watch it again, but he just goes, And Margo didn't even give him, and this is, again, what I love about 24, and what's truth about how I assume, I don't know any terrorists personally, but how terrorists would actually be. Margo doesn't give him chance to negotiate. She doesn't give, I don't even think she gives him, and I'll watch the scene again, but the way I think it plays out, I don't think she even gives him a chance to say, okay, don't hurt my wife. I think it's like, you have one chance here to go back. Oh, you don't want to take the chance? You're saying that to me? Okay, bring my daughter over.
Well, that's why I thought he said, like, don't do it, I'll do it, and then she was like, take the finger anyway.
No, he just, and I watched this twice actually. She just, because I had to rewind and see the finger. He says, no innocence, Heller's innocence. Bullshit. I'm the one that the family should tell you. Our Stark honor has been besmirched. He says something about family honor being besmirched. You will pilot the drones, and he says, no matter what you do to me, I will not pilot the drones. She said, Catelyn Stark says, I believe you. And then she immediately, when she says, I believe you, brings the daughter over, chops the daughter's finger off, and then the guy, and then he says, yes, I'll do what you want. Yes, I'll do what you want. And the scene ends with the daughter crying. I can see how it looked that way, but again, that's kind of what I like about this villain. She wasn't messing around. If this was another show, or this was Plan A, and you're absolutely.
You had a chisel with them. You don't send your henchman into the room with a chisel and a hammer, unless that's Plan A.
That's poor girl.
Like she didn't have to say, Boris, can you go get the chisel and hammer from downstairs real quick? We got to chop off my daughter's finger to get him to do it. No, he pulled it right out of his pocket. Clunk. Done. Plan A.
She was propped and ready. She had the tools of the trade in the room.
You don't show up for a job without the proper tools. You show up on time with the tools you need to complete the job.
She even brought the salt to stick the daughter's finger in after.
Oh, but they didn't even sew it. Come on, sew it back on. You chopped it off. He's going to do what you want. Sew it back on.
We've seen John Wayne Bobbitt. If any of you kids are watching this for the first time, please Wikipedia John Wayne Bobbitt. They got the penis back on. I mean, they did it.
Right. Sew that thing back on for her.
Well, I wonder if anyone's ever Wikipedia John Wayne Bobbitt. But if you haven't, if you're watching this, please Wikipedia John Wayne Bobbitt.
It's got pictures.
So we go back to, after our commercial break, after our Stark children start losing their fingers. Why does horrible things? Maybe this is Sansa. We were wondering who it was. It's definitely bad shit. Always happens to Sansa. Sansa loses a finger here. What is the if I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd cut your finger off. Yes, you need that. Thanks, Steve. We need to Kate and Ritter say they need to talk to Bauer. What Tanner said might be true. This is when this is the scene that pissed me off. She gets on the phone with Navarro, which makes me hate Dave Navarro, the guitar player, even more, that this guy's that big of a dump. And she says, we need to talk to Bauer. What Tanner said might be true. Let us talk. And he will not listen, but he says, come here. And she says, listen, Bauer shot you guys in the vest. Shot him in the vest. He didn't want to kill you guys. You think Bauer could have killed you guys? And Navarro tells him that she can't talk to Bauer, but the president's going to be talking to Bauer soon, and he'll let her get in on the phone call. And this is where we get the stupid fucking moment. We get not Milo. Milo was a character in season 1 that was a computer geek. We get not Milo, who we hadn't seen in a couple of hours, talking to Navarro about the whole Kate's husband thing and saying, you know what, he says to Navarro, you know what, all this makes sense. I think Kate has a pretty good read on this situation. And Navarro turns to him and goes, listen, you're letting your feelings cloud your judgment. Can we not forget that this dumbass girl let her husband sell secrets to the Chinese? I'm thinking about this logically. You're thinking about this emotionally. And I know she's not always right. She doesn't crap gold, you know. And I want
to. It was kind of It's
I
awful
want
to
to say that
listen
this
to.
same line was used about Jack Bauer in one of the seasons, where one of our Bill Buchanan or one of our other head of CTU guys said this about Bauer. Bauer could be wrong here, but it just sets up. Okay, it lets me connects to. We'll go back in time a little bit to why I think Bordeaux is the rat and this guy is just an idiot. Because I think this guy is so pissed, and I guess it could go both ways. Because it could just be he's like, thou protest too much, and he really is the one that set it up. But I guess my initial thought was he's so emotionally affected by this that all that shit that he says to Kate at the beginning of the episode, where it's I forgive you, I don't think about this. He hasn't. He hasn't. He thinks about this guy as his best friend. He's transferring all the feelings of guilt and shit he feels about not being able to spot out his best friend onto Kate. Excuse me.
Yep.
Probably also,
unless he's the rat, like I think.
The rat. And it's also that he's probably in the same way that a lot of the other higher-ups of CTU were jealous of how everyone listens to Jack Bauer. Like, an owner at a restaurant is pissed that the non-head chef gets all the attention from the wait staff, and the head chef gets no attention because he's a dick. And it seems like everybody, the whole wait staff here, all thinks, oh, Kate's the best, Kate's the best, Kate's the best, Navarro. We need to listen to Kate. He's been like, you know what? Kate's an idiot. Fuck Kate. And to me, this just pissed me off, and it just, again, leads me to believe that he has to what Joe thinks, he has to be a rat. He can't be this stupid. At least Bordeaux I can buy that he's trying to protect the president, or he's trying to protect his wife and feeling that jealousy guy thing about not wanting her to be around the love of her life. I mean, I get all of that a little bit more than Navarro just being a complete dumbass with all of this, when his best agent is telling him how things are going, and Ritter's backing it up too, who is a guy he knows hates Kate. So if he's kind of backing her up too, maybe she has a fucking point here, you dumbass. And shut up, go back to Law and Order. Stupid. So we go back to Bauer.
And it's interesting to point out that he does pull a little bit of a Jedi mind trick, because essentially what our computer kid says to him is, I think everybody's being a little bit too emotional. I think you're being too emotional about this because of who Kate is. Let's think about this logically. It all makes sense. And he goes, you're the one that's thinking about this because you have a hard-on for her. I am logical. It's like, boom, no, you.
Joe,
I know you are, but what am I?
No, Joe, you have the hard-on for her. No, you.
Yeah, right? It's like, what the? Are we children in the playground, or are we the section chief of the CIA? You know, like.
Come on, wake up, buddy. Again, you're not competing after Baby's daughter. You're not saying to what's his name? Don't put Baby in the corner and play Jerry Bruck. Whatever the guy's name is, the one. Sorry, I'm making a Law and Order joke that's not working because I didn't watch the show enough to know the characters' names. My bad. So Bauer answers the.
Orbach, Jerry Orbach.
Joey Orbach, thank you, Joey Orbach. So Bauer, as Steve gets me into my Law and Order mistake, probably right. The setup of the conflict with the key card, that sets up the conflict when they get the key card back to the CIA headquarters. I agree with you, and that connects to something we were talking about a couple of hours ago. When I was saying in the first episode, it was only a matter of time before Jack's working for CIA again as like a field agent, where he is going to be a field agent and with everybody working under him, and it's just going to get back, because this is standard 24. Act 1, Jack's off the rails for stuff he did in the season before. By the end of Act 1 of the season, Jack's back in the mix of CIA. He's going to be in the mix of CIA for a while doing business, and then this is what I say. Once he's going to stop Margo, and then we're going to find out that Cross is the real villain, and Cross is going to make Jack do something illegal to separate himself from the CIA again.
Or he's going to kill Chloe.
Or he's going to kill Chloe, or threaten to kill Chloe, and Kate's going to be the only one that knows the truth, and Kate ends up getting killed as Jack's trying to protect the truth, and yada yada yada, and then Jack goes on revenge in the last act.
And he gets blamed for everything.
And he gets blamed for after he kills all the bad guys with a mad firing squad.
Sorry, Jack, you're still on the run. No cleared name. Go fuck off.
Go fuck off. Next season of 24. So we don't even have to watch the rest of the season. That's how it's all gonna end. Podcast over. So Jack Bauer answers the phone, and this was my favorite scene of the whole entire episode. And we get Heller and Jack talking, and this is just hilarious. Heller's like, President Jack, who is always polite with the presidents, whenever he's talking to presidents, even the ones that fuck him over, he always is like, "Thank you, Mr. President." He's like, "Hi, Mr. President. How are you doing?" And he goes, "Jack, you know what, Joe? I like you. Or, I don't like you, and I never thought I'd have to hear your fucking voice again." He's just like, "Jack, I would have been a happier man if my dementia kicked in and I forgot that I ever fucking knew you, Jack." And he says, and Jack kind of tells him, he goes, "Why are you here, Jack? Why are you holding terrorists? Why are you trying to do all this? Why are you fucking with my life again, Jack?" And
yeah, it's very like, oh man.
Yeah, come on, Jack.
What are you doing?
Jack, don't do this. You're just messing me. I'm confused enough without bringing you here, Jack.
Dude, I have a headache. I just had to talk to the British Parliament. This dude killed a bunch of people. Now you're taking hostages. Well, this day is already how my dementia. What? Why are you doing this to me, Jack?
Yeah, what are you doing to me, Jack? And he tells the president everything, that he thinks it was all set up in Afghanistan to show off the drones, so Margo El-Harazi could set off the drones in London and kill a lot of people to mess with him because of the stuff he did in his past. And the president stops and goes, that actually starts to make a little. You can see a look in his face. Wow, that's making a lot of sense. Like the Howard Stern moment when he's looking at the girl in the hot tub. Suddenly,
it's not cheating if my underwear stays on.
And suddenly, that starts making a lot of sense, and he starts thinking that, and he goes, "But Jack, what are you doing in there with those terrorists? Well, I mean, what are you doing in there with those hostages? Why are you in there?" And he's like, "Well, I'm in here to upload the information, to get the proof so I can come to you and turn myself in and show you all this proof." And the president goes, "Well, why didn't you just turn yourself in, Jack?"
Yeah, why didn't you just come to me in the first place?
And Jack lawyers him here. Marshall Erickson lawyers him, goes, "Well, I am considered a terrorist by your administration, and what do you think would happen if I start knocking on the door of the White House? Hey, Mr. President, it's Jack Bauer here. I got something to tell you." They would throw him in the deepest, darkest hole. Jack's like, "I've never had the opportunity to tell my side of the story about what happened with President Taylor and with all the Russian stuff, what happened in season 8. I've never got to show those DVDs to the court system. I never got to try to clear my name."
Why didn't anybody watch season 8?
Yeah, why didn't everyone watch season 8? Freddie Prinze Jr. isn't that bad. I mean, come on, why? And the president goes, "You know what? You make sense there, Jack. You know what? You make absolute sense there. I hear you, Jack. I hear you." So, and then he hangs up the phone. It's a really great conversation between the two of them. I don't want to go verbatim, but it's really fun stuff.
Yeah, he says, "Well, let me think it over, Jack. I'll talk to you soon. Bye."
And then he talks to his advisors, and Audrey is like, right away, Audrey's like, "I believe Jack. That Jack has a point here." And his military advisor, his main military advisor guy, the general, or the head of the Marines, says, "Listen, we've double checked this. We looked at Tanner's reports, and there's no way that Jack Nicholson did the code red. There's no way that this guy's guilty, and no Tom Cruise is going to prove otherwise." But the president seems a little bit not sure about what this guy says. He goes over to Audrey, and him and Audrey have a little bit of a powwow away from everybody, and are like, Jack is a lot of things, but Jack isn't a liar. And he even says this to the president. He goes, "President, I've done a lot of fucked up things in the past, but one thing I've never done is lie to you. That's not my style. I don't lie to people. I just shoot them in their legs. I just shoot random people in the legs. I don't lie to people." And Audrey's like saying this to the president. This is true. Jack doesn't lie. Maybe he's got something here. And this is where Bordeaux...
Well, it's interesting to point out, too, that the people that got shot were left-wing protesters.
Yeah, we're left-wing protesters that are against the whole thing, the whole drone thing.
So they weren't bad enough to be shot and killed, but they're left-wing protesters, so they were bad enough to get winged in the leg.
I don't know if that says something about 24's opinion on left-wingers there, or right-wingers. It's just very interesting. If the download is a break-in, then the info that clears Jack's name could have just been downloaded. Interesting. So maybe
or erased.
Exactly. Or erased. Or a lot of information could have been planted of stuff that the president could have done in the past to rationalize stuff that Margo is going to say to the English government later. I mean, that could have been a lot of stuff if we
anything.
if we think that Cross is working with that.
He just blindly trusts that Chloe's blind trust in this cyber terrorist.
And I mean, you figure they do have Coach Belichick there stealing signs and doing Spygate there, watching everything.
Where is he? I didn't see him at all.
No, we only saw him at the beginning talking to Chloe. We don't know where he is. He just sitting there? Is he playing the video game?
He must be sitting outside the building, outside the embassy, waiting for blonde chick and what's his name to transport him back to CIA so that he can escape Bauer from their clutches.
Possibly. So at this point in the present scene, Mark Bordeaux says, "Listen, I know what you think. Listen. This is all your plan. Your ideas are all well and good, but I think what Bauer did was break into CIA to break out his friend Chloe O'Brien, so we could go to." So he could go run this.
And now he's breaking into the computer system in a secured room. He's obviously working with Clear One or whatever their name is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I wrote it down.
Anonymous Clear One, to do more WikiLeaks damage.
Right.
It immediately goes that route.
And this is where I think the president has his one dementia moment, because at first he says, "No, you don't understand, Mark. Audrey and I," and this answers your question, Joe, "Audrey and I know this guy. We know what kind of guy this guy is. We know that isn't something he would do." And then Bordeaux sort of goes, "No, these are the droids you're looking for." And
he's got a point, because like I kind of pointed out, like you said, he wasn't in 8 through 1. Seasons were 8 through 1. So he doesn't know anything but the case file, which is admittedly from Jack and the president himself, from the president's administration, that says he's a murderer. He tried to kill the Russian president. He killed all these other people. He went on a murder spree, and that's why he's a fugitive. Don't forget that. That's what you've all told me. That's the line that you've been towing. That's why he's been on the run for the last 4 years.
And I think it's interesting that it happens in a scene afterwards with him and Audrey, but I'll talk about it now, that Audrey calls him out on being too emotional. "Oh, you knew Jack was around this whole time. You didn't want him to see me because you're too emotional." And it seems like Bordeaux goes to the same go-to as Brat does, in the sense that he says, you're being too emotional. It's the most horrible thing. I hate when I argue with somebody and I'm like being emotional, or I'm like stating my point, and that person's you're having a back and forth with that person. Both people are so like ridiculously emotional stating their point, and one person turns to him and goes, "Well, you're just out of control. You're losing your temper and you're not making your point clear. I'm calm, and look at me, how calm. Hey, Joe, I'm super calm. You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm calm. I know the best." And it's like, no, you're not very calm. You're not very unemotional. And Audrey calls him out and goes, "Listen, I know Jack Bauer." I know this happens a little later. "I know Jack Bauer better than anybody else does, and I believe him. And if you don't listen to him right now, you all are going to be sorry."
Well, she immediately takes his side, too, in the first place. When they're in that room and they're still talking about whether it's possible that his drone could have been hijacked, and the general or military guy says, "We looked at all the data, and nothing like that it shows in the data, and it's pretty much, it can't be done. We've never seen it done." She immediately says, "Well, anything's possible. Nothing's impossible."
I know she's biased, but I think beyond just love for Jack, she's biased to the fact of, again, what you were saying, that Bordeaux and most of the other people, they're out of the generation of Jack Bauer. They haven't seen everything he did for 8 years, all the times he saved the world, all the hunches he's had that end up being hunches for gold, hunches for knowing where the gold is. And I think Audrey and Heller at first really start to realize this. And I know what Bordeaux says makes sense from a legitimate standpoint of being like, you haven't seen Bauer in 4 years, you don't know what he's up to, you don't know what he's involved in. But I think, to me, it just seems like a little bit too quick of and I don't think it's really the dementia, I just think it's poor storytelling. I think it's a little bit too quick of a shift in Heller's mind. He's like right on Audrey's side, like, "Oh, we're going to listen to what Jack has to say." And then Bordeaux makes one little point, and he doesn't even think about it twice. He just goes, "Okay, now you're right." And he just
send the Marines in when they're ready. In other words, let the hostages die, let Jack Bauer die, let some Marines die if that's what it takes.
It just seemed a little bullshitty in the story wise for me right there. It seemed like that was
all in the guise of, because he uses the link between Chloe and the anonymous Clear One poor acne solution people, that this is why, because you're letting him download something. 15 minutes is all it will take for him to expose all these other secrets. We got to do this now, or information will be leaked. Sacrifice these 5 to 6 lives to maybe save thousands more.
It just seemed like he gave up really too easily, and especially when considering that he knows Chloe too, or knows Jack has a relationship with her, so can understand where Jack might be coming from when all of this, and Audrey makes some significant points here. And I just think I don't know if it's a nature to the story, I don't know if it's supposed to signify that he follows Mark's lead too much and blocks everybody else, which could lead into Mark being the rat a little bit more, that Mark has completely manipulated the president, so he basically does whatever he tells the president to do, essentially, in these type of situations. I don't know what that's going to play out, but to me it seemed a little bit quick of a shift. A little bit quick of he turned the hat around and now he's ready to beat the big guy in arm wrestling. It just seemed a little tricky to me. So
I have one other thing. I find it kind of interesting that Chloe was captured by the CIA and she was in holding for, we're not sure exactly how long, but definitely for a good period of time. Leads Jack back to the lair of this Clear One people. I think it's kind of interesting that they would even still be anywhere near the area after someone so high up as Chloe, next to Adrian himself, got pinched by the government, that they would still be a mile or two, couple miles away.
I think the answer to that is that they didn't know she was captured, because when she shows up in hour 1, I believe he goes, "Where have you been?" She comes in. He goes, "Where have you been the last couple of weeks?" or something to that effect. I would have to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure he says something like that to her.
Yeah, me too. Maybe I forget that then. Okay.
Honestly, this show, like, I sometimes forget what happens like 5 seconds ago, because everything like you get like 1,000 things happening in a minute at a time. It's not like a big scene that lasts long, and even not like something like Sons of Anarchy or Game of Thrones, where you like go from a couple of different stories and you flash, but at least you stay on a certain scene for a while. 24, the pacing is just so intense, and I mean that's what I love about 24, and gives it its natural look and natural feel that makes it so 24. So Chloe is pissed, and she's doing the Chloe walk, running around after this, showing some drone attack stuff, and saying that and this is where we get even more of our class about drones. These new drones are even worse. They can target more of an area and blow more stuff up. And this just is basically the lead up, so we can find out that Margo has control of them. But the important line here is he walks up to Chloe and says that the Marines think that Jack is guilty. Please, if you can help, you need to help, because they're going to go in there and kill him, and he's the only one that can save things. And Adrian says something very, very, that's a good question to Chloe. Why can't you just let Jack go? And Chloe just looks at him like, fuck off, and walks away. And it's true. I think because, at least right now, she can't let him go, because I don't think Chloe, as much as she appreciates probably some of the people, especially some of the underlings in this organization with her, I think Chloe, we know, is someone that went out of her way to join an organization like CTU and fight terrorism. So Jack is
Jack's also the last connection she has to her previous life.
And Jack's the white horse that, even though Jack's been down there too, you know that if she sticks to Jack, she might find a way back to save the world and might find a way back to normal life again. And I think she's started to get over all the horrible stuff that's happened to her and her family, so she's getting to the point where she probably at this point wants a normal life. And I think that's somewhat important. So after this, the Marines are all ready. The Marines are ready to get in there and shoot to kill. And one of the head Marine takes one of the other Marines aside, who we get a couple of big, long, lingering close-ups on this one secondary Marine that's supposed to kill Jack Bauer, the doughy-eyed one. But I didn't get why we had all this we get one shot on him where it looks like maybe he's working with Jack Bauer, or he believes Jack Bauer, like he's not going to shoot him or something. It was really strange how they show us this one Marine and kind of focus in on him, and even to the point where we have him. I think it was just a lead-up, because ultimately we go to Kate and Ritter, and Kate is totally convinced at this point after hearing the conversation with the president that Jack is telling the truth. And she says to Ritter, everything he said makes sense. I need to get in there. I need to get on Bauer's side, and at minimum convince Jack that if I'm on his side, that he'll surrender and no one will die, and we can get this information because I think that there's something here. So
I love that with a 3-second glance at the blueprints over the shoulder of the Marine earlier in the episode when they're looking at this little area of the embassy and everything. I love that she glances over, sees it for all of about 2 seconds for that to set up, and this moment in time, her to turn to her little follow-along and be like, come with me. This is a vent. It leads right to Jack's room. I'm going to go in and drop down. Like the Marines didn't even see it. The Marines who have been studying this blueprint don't have this vent covered for Jack to crawl through and get out of.
Let's go beyond
the room. The only way in and the only way out is this door. All of a sudden there's a vent big enough for this chick to crawl through and drop down into the room. I almost screamed.
It goes worse, Joe, because they also have a sensor that can apparently pick up this girl moving through that path into the room. So they couldn't pick up the path, but they could pick up but they had some sort of sensor picking up the woman. And maybe she watched Die Hard before this. Maybe she learned about elevator shafts through Die Hard 1. So she's a master.
It was almost too much of a TV moment for me. It really was. It was just so... my mind was blown. Like, and I knew, as soon as I saw those blueprints, I knew this was going to happen. Like,
it was hilarious. And Joe says, leave no man behind. Dude says, leave no man behind on the screen, team loyalty. Das es Maschine. Yep, at Machine. Or what's that called? Could you pronounce that correctly so I don't... Das es Machina or something like that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say though. Where it's the one thing that allows the character to do the thing. So yeah, I mispronounced that. I can't pronounce words. I never learned to read, Steve. Dude. Sorry, dude. So she's a genius and she knows how to climb through walls. So she climbs through walls. She needs to risk because she is the only one that can save Jack Bauer. And this is where we get our scene with Audrey and Mark, and we already talked about the scene where basically they both call each other out on having an agenda, and you know what? They're both right. They both have an agenda. They do. She wants to make out with Jack Bauer, and he wants to not have his wife make out with Jack Bauer, and maybe he's a rat. I don't know. This was a very fun scene. We already talked about it, so I'll go on. And here we go to the last scene of the episode. Here comes the Marines. Jack's at the door. It looks like he's like, it looks like Heller gave the order. He starts protecting the civilians that are in there, kicking over tables, making
Chloe tells Jack in his earpiece they're about to kick in the door. They're set up. They're about to move. 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he said, I need to stall a little bit more time, so I'm going to take out as many of them as I can and stall for as long as possible. We're down to about the 5-minute point. And right at that point, Kate starts yelling through the air vent, Jack! This is Agent Morgan. Or Jack actually hears her.
Honey, I'm home.
Jack actually hears her sneaking in and shoots the entrance. So, I think, again, this was another stupid plan by Kate. I mean... Did she really think Jack couldn't have just shot her? I mean, like, I know she mentions this earlier that Jack hasn't killed, and she points it out. She points out what we point out ad nauseum. Jack hasn't killed any good guys today. So maybe she thinks, but who's to think that Jack's not going to think that this was one of the Marines and just start shooting? And she just pops right in, yep. and she's like, "Listen, Jack, there's Marines outside. I believe you. You need to come with me. If you want to live, but you need to come with me." And if I protect you and I get this information, I believe you will bring you back to CIA and get all this information booted up and let's stop the terrorists, Jack. I'm on your side.
I just find it completely hilarious that they didn't decide, like, okay, let's jump back up into the vent and leave.
Yeah, it's true. I honestly...
Why Chloe didn't point out that there was a freaking vent that could do this.
I honestly thought that that's what they were going to do because they cut to the Marines trying to break into the room, and we get that other Marine cop that says that's the Marine that we got the close up on, and we get him saying that someone else is breaking into the room. We see someone else moving towards the room, and then we get Ritter coming over there going, that's Agent Morgan. She's there to try to get the piece. Like, he thought this was gonna work. Like, he really thought they were gonna listen to him, and they're like, shut the fuck up, we're going in there, and we'll shoot her too, we don't care. And they go in, and I totally expected them to not be there, as you said. I expected them to climb up through the vent. But nope, they're sitting there, and she is laying on top of him, basically. Mounted him, getting ready to ride the Jack Bauer train.
Oh, she was riding. She was riding Jack Bauer.
And this other Marine, this tricky Marine, you can see how he's like trying to cater around to get a shot, and she starts yelling, no, he's a CIA prisoner, get me the handcuffs, Ritter.
He's my prisoner now. We caught him first.
And then we just get him, Jack Bauer, dragged out, and beep, 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 beep.
Well, you hear it, you hear the Marine say, shut everything down.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry, this isn't the end of the episode. So the Marines blow the door.
So we get the shot of the computer screen that the download was incomplete. He never finished what he wanted to do in that room.
Going from the incomplete download to the complete download, at the end here we go to Margo one more time. We don't see her one-fingered daughter, but we do see Margo. And it's officially online and everything's working. It's time to fire some drones. And she turns to Navid and goes, are you ready to pilot my drones? Target one of the most populated areas in London. It is on fire. And that's it. So we can expect that next week we're getting some serious terrorism attack. Listen, this person's Catelyn Stark. She isn't messing up. She isn't messing around. She is going right for the throat real quick, which leads me to believe that she isn't the enemy for the whole year. It leads me to believe that she is going to be.
If you're going to go right for the throat too, and you have control of this drones, why would you go for the most populated area? Why wouldn't you say hit Parliament right now? Hit Big Ben in Parliament. Hit the palace.
Hey kids, Big Ben in Parliament.
London, you know, like.
But yeah, hey kids, Big Ben Parliament, bomb there. I just don't think that. I agree with you, but I also don't think that she's going to survive much past a couple more episodes. I think she's dead because I know 24 enough that. Maybe I know we are in a quicker lineup. I can't see them.
So how does she die in a couple episodes and then the season continues?
The daughter's going to rat her out, and we're going to find out that someone else is working with her. Basically, Adrian's working with her.
Navarro.
Yeah, Adrian Navarro. Or I think what's ultimately going to happen is either the daughter is going to leave because my mother cut off my finger, and she's going to try to give states evidence. Jack's going to figure out some way, because we found on the next episode that Jack is going to talk to the president, and Jack is also going to be working for the CIA, apparently. He's going to be put back out in the field, we saw in scenes from next week. So Jack is going to somehow find her, bring her down, or bring one of them into CTU. And either Navid, the daughter, or Margo herself is going to be tortured by Jack Bauer. And we're going to find out that people within the U.S. government, in the London government, are in on this. And then the second half of the season will be the conspiracy, trying to push the conspiracy down, and Jack discovering it. And then the last part of the season will be Jack using his sword of vengeance to make all pay that did wrong.
We're already a third of the way through the series.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't see Margo lasting far past the next episode. I could be wrong.
I gotta like I mean, I haven't seen any 24, but I'm pretty sure she's they've set her up to be the main conflict, the main.
This is one of those things.
Anti whatever.
Like our villain, but our antagonist.
And thank you.
Joe.
Our antagonist, yeah.
Does that mean
you don't spend the first third of a 12 episode? If it was 24, for 24, I would agree with you. But you don't spend the first third of a 12 season. Maybe she can die in 8 or 9, but not this early, not before the first half of the season for sure.
But how do they go? I guess
like you killed Ned in the second to last episode, but there's only one episode left after that, a wrap-up episode, and that wasn't the villain dying, that was our hero dying.
I guess the way I feel about it is this is 24, and that 24 likes to expedite things, and things happen quickly, and since the villain already has the Doomsday device and is already about to start destroying things, We're not just going to get the rest of the season is London attack after London attack, London attack. We're going to get one attack, and then she's going to be caught somehow. We're not going to get like 3 or 4 attacks by drones. That I can't see. That would be too much repetition. She needs to do something and then somehow be brought down. At least that's how my speculation. But what is awesome about 24 compared to a show like Game of Thrones or even Walking Dead to a point is that we can speculate without spoiling.
There's nothing written.
There's nothing written. So everybody, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the 24 post-episode issues recaps. We will be back next week to talk more 24. It's a holiday, but there is going to be 24. So we will be talking about 24. There'll be no Game of Thrones next week because there is no Game of Thrones next week. But we like to take, I know it's really sad considering that there's so few episodes. I want as many as I possibly can every week.
Hopefully we'll be able to come to you with some updates from the Pop Culture Expo and maybe some interviews with Christian Nairn and the woman that plays Roz. Christian Nairn, of course, plays Hodor on Game of Thrones, and the woman that plays the prostitute Roz in the first 3 seasons.
But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you have anything to say about 24, we know it's more of a cut and dry show. It's not always something that you have tons of comments for. But if you have anything to say about this episode of 24, please comment away. Like and favorite. It really helps us. If you have any questions or want to get in any voicemails throughout the week, I forgot to tell this on the Game of Thrones cast, but I got to remind myself. You can leave voicemails at 781-990-8509. Email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com. Excuse me. Try not to drink too much soda before you do a podcast because then you have to burp too much. But this has been really fun. I can't wait to talk about more 24, and I can't wait to get back and talk about Game of Thrones. And one last programming note. Thank you, everybody, so freaking much for watching the Game of Thrones podcast this week. This has been a record-setting couple of days for hits and views for our Game of Thrones podcast and for comments. We really appreciate all the comments and all the interactions. We say this a lot, but we really do mean this. It makes it all the more fun to watch these shows with a bigger group. The more people we can get together, tell your friends, have them subscribe and comment on the videos too, because the more people we can form into a community to watch these shows together, the more fun we're all going to have analyzing them and debating them and arguing about what we think happened. So everybody, thank you so much for all the support, and keep it up, and we're going to keep it up. The more you keep us up, the more we're going to keep fucking, baby. So thank you very much. We appreciate all your time and all your listens. Have a
Thank you very much, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.